Hello, Internet, and welcome back to another episode of Perfect Faraday. I'm your host, George Merchant, with my ever-lovely, always beautiful, completely respectful, best friend since high school,
Jeremiah Evans. Howdy, Internet.
So what are we talking about today, Jer?
RESVPECT. Find out what it means to me.
Suck it to me. Suck it to me.
I can't even respect it enough to spell it right. Respect, I guess.
Yeah, we'll talk about respect. We'll talk about some respect. So, this came up in a conversation with one of the other guys that works with me here, and we were kind of talking about the things that are falling apart and kind of what the core issues what was the kind of the core causes, and when we see with talk about hard work, we're talking about the way people treat each other and how one thing kind of leads to another. And I've heard a lot of people, especially in the older generation, complain about like lack of respect. And that is one thing I'm going to have to agree with. I don't like to pick on the younger generation. I don't like to just be like, because they kind of inherited a world that they didn't create. So it's not like, I think it's kind of disingenuous to sit there and try to, pick on them and blame them for the problems of today. And it's like, no, they had parents, they had upbringing. There was a society around them. There was influences, and there was other things that definitely influenced that. If you are a younger listener and you're tuning into this, I would definitely try to be self-reflective about some of those things that I say about the younger generation, but I'm not just aiming at and trying to pick on the younger generation, because I see this throughout, all age groups, but it's definitely a hallmark of the youngest generation. There's always going to be people that are kind of rebellious, and I think sometimes people take that the wrong way, but the lack of respect for the workplace, for their coworkers, for the other people around them, and taking that into account. So my first question is what is respect? So to you, Jeremiah, I'm going to toss it over to you and say, how would you define respect? When somebody's respecting you, what does that look like? When you're respecting somebody else, what does that look like?
I guess when I respect somebody, I consider their feelings and my actions,
Yeah.
I would assume that they aren't going to lie to me about stuff. I don't know. I guess it's more encompassing than that. You kind of have to earn respect. I think if you're respectful, it's trust really you need to earn. I mean, you can...
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can give respect. Yeah,
you can always give respect.
But
I guess to be respected is a little more work, because you need to be respectful in that,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because obviously if somebody comes off half-cocked the first time you meet them or whatever, I don't know that you're going to have much respect for them, right?
Well, I think maybe this might be part of the problem, is that a lot of people don't understand. It's very, it's difficult to define. And so the Oxford Dictionary, I'll share two things here, but the Oxford Dictionary, we can see Aretha Franklin's RCPCT.
Yeah. I botched her song.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Aretha.
There's two definitions here from the Oxford, and a feeling of deep admiration for someone or something elicited by their abilities, qualities, or achievements, and due regard for the feelings, wishes, rights, or traditions of others. Number two there, the due regard for feelings, wishes, rights, and traditions of others, I think is more along the lines of thoughtfulness. I really do believe that's much, much more along the lines of thoughtfulness than respect. Respect is something that when you may not even like the qualities of another person, or you may not like their beliefs or their political beliefs, or you may not like their religious beliefs or their theological beliefs, whatever that is. You may not agree with them on something and still be respectful to them. You might be like, gosh, I gotta watch around. I'm stepping on the minefield, but you may disagree with, say, a Muslim's belief that women shouldn't drive a car or something like that, because there are still countries, Muslim countries, that are like that, where women can't drive and things like that. So you may say, okay, I don't agree with that. I think that that's wrong because it's a human rights thing, and I want to be respectful to, all peoples. So I'm going to be respectful to the Muslim faith, like as a whole, but that doesn't mean I agree with this thing, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be rude, insensitive. I'm not going to intentionally, run them down or whatever. But I could still critique and criticize this thing and say, I don't agree with that. I don't support that. But I'm not going to disrespect your faith. I'm not going to disrespect your belief or anything. Because there's women that believe that too, that grow up in that and are raised in that, and they may have that belief as well. So it's a shared belief.
Yeah.
But I believe that respect goes beyond just a thoughtfulness or a kindness towards a person's set of beliefs and whatnot. I think that respect is also showing the person like, hey, I see you. I'm not going to be rude to you. I'm going to treat you like a sovereign human being. I'm going to open the door. I'm going to be polite. I'm going to be respectful, right? Yeah. It's like I've always seen the lack of respect as being a very low class thing. When I'm not talking about people joking amongst friends, but in coworkers, things like that. I'm talking about when people in general are rude and disrespectful to others, and with no thought in their mind as how their actions affect them, then I believe that that's a very low class thing. Being disrespectful to me is the way that I was raised. Being disrespectful like that is not classy. It's because classiness didn't have anything to do with how people use the word now. Class, as far as money, like how much money you make, determines the class that you're in or whatever. Yeah. That's an economic class. That's not the same thing as being classy. That's not the same thing as lack of class, like being rude to people and ignorant. It's what it is it's a weak person's the being rudeness and disrespectful to other people. It to me has always been the weak man's attempt at strength. It's like you're trying to pretend to be better than you are, instead of humbling yourself, being respectful to others, and then saying, I'm going to learn from every possible person that I can. I'm going to take every nugget of gold information, because this person over here that has like despicable beliefs may know something that you don't. And you listen and you go, there's that little tiny nugget of truth right there. I'm going to take that and I'm going to learn from that. Or I'm going to use that, that little bit of knowledge or understanding. I'm going to take that. I'm going to add it to my pile. And this is how you become stronger. This is how you become better at what you do. This is how people, then when you walk into a room and people are like, yeah, that's the guy that has been nothing but solutions. That guy solves problems. That man is strong. People respect you because you're always coming with solutions. You're thinking about others and you're taking care of the problem that affects everybody, and everybody looks over to you and says, I respect that. I look up to that. So like I was saying, going back to what I was saying, I believe people have struggled with the definition of what respect even is. So like young people, I don't think they understand what respect even is, because they haven't been taught that. They haven't been taught that, hey, we respect our elders because they've experienced more. There's more things that they know than we do. You may know something more about a particular subject than they do in a certain area, but I guarantee you there's stuff that they know more about than you do.
Yeah.
So every thought in your mind, you're just like, you're emotionally driven instead of factually driven. And you treat people that are older and wiser and have more experience than you treat these people, or even people that are younger than you as well, you treat others like they don't know anything and they're not due any respect whatsoever.
Yeah.
And that brings me to part of my beliefs.
Going back to the women driving cars thing, like I certainly don't agree with women not driving cars, but trucks though, maybe?
That's a lack of respect. That's pretty funny. So
I'm not respectful.
So 1 Peter 2:17 in the Bible is it's a command: honor all people, love the brotherhood, fear God, honor the king. And in the NIV version, it's show proper respect to everyone, love the family of believers, fear God, honor the emperor. So what that means in that is that you show at the very beginning, you show respect to everyone, right? Even those you don't like. So you take your time and you do your best to show respect, even though, and that's going to be an internal fight, because there's going to be people where you're just like, I really don't want to be respectful to this person because they are just a dirtbag. They're just being a dirtbag. They're always being a dirtbag, and I just can't handle it. I just can't stand it or whatever. So, and I'm not saying you don't deal with people on an individual basis and try to correct behaviors, but especially when you're in a leadership role. But when it's your place, but showing respect to everyone you come across, whether you're above you or below you in an organization, that's something that's always driven me nuts. Is when somebody got a little bit of a leadership role or anything like that, they started treating everybody that was under them in the organization disrespectfully, and that always, like, I think for everybody that sees that happen, it's very disgusting. You're just like, whoa.
So what do you think the people's motivation are in that sense, or in those scenarios? Because I've dealt with that before. Is it that they're getting in there, feet on the ground, running, trying to like prove, something?
I think that it's
to the higher ups, or
I think it's a mix. Yeah, I mean, I think you're hitting on something right there. I think it's a mix. Part of it is there are some people that get in that position and they just want to do good, so they're trying to act like what they think the leadership wants from them, and the leadership may want that from their core leadership if that's the case. But they may want that, or they may not, and in their head they're thinking, okay, I need to be this way because that's the way that a boss should be or whatever. And that's not necessarily the case.
I think it's funny. Have you ever, like, in the management positions did you take like an assessment test or whatever to see if you were like management material? I don't know what the process was. Yeah, when I worked at Walmart, they had questions like that. How would you, act in this scenario? And it was more like what a reasonable person, the right answers, because you did score it or whatever. It was more what a reasonable person, in scenarios like that. Obviously, other managerial stuff, they wanted the exact answers, like if somebody was stealing, are you going to report it? But in instance like that, they had what you would think that they would want to hear, but really the right answer was like more
reasonable stuff.
Yeah, like, what an actual human being would be like, like not.
Yeah, because they want their organization to work. They don't want people to quit. They don't want to lose talent. They want people to treat other people with dignity and respect. They want their workers to be happy. Yeah. Like, every boss wants their workers to be happy. I mean, unless he's a complete, total narcissistic scumbag. Yeah. They exist. But for the most part, they want them to actually be like happy while they're working there. They want to be happy. They want them to be happy and content with their benefits and pay. They want them to be happy with the work environment. They want them to be happy, right? And they can only control so much in their environment, but they do in general want them to be happy because they don't want to lose them. They want them to feel like, hey, this is a good place to work. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. Like, they want people to have that general feeling when they come into work there. So no, they don't want somebody taking a leadership position and then just destroying all their talent.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that in a business. As a business owner, I'm going to tell you that right now. It's like, I don't like bad attitudes. They're like a virus. Somebody comes in with a bad attitude and it spreads because one person starts treating another person negatively, and then it snowballs from there. And then it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And when we treat each other like that, when we're disrespectful to each other like that, what ends up happening is it creates a very, very hostile type of environment. And what we're seeing now is we're seeing this on a large scale. We're not just seeing this in the workforce. We're not just seeing this in the work environment. We're seeing this in everything. We're seeing this in politics. We're seeing this in in the social structure. We're seeing this in schools. We're seeing this between students and teachers. We're seeing this brand new hires thinking that they should make 6 figures a year, and the jokers don't even know how to flip a burger, you know? And everybody expects, oh, you owe this all to me. And just in that thought process, there's a complete and utter lack of respect for everybody else that has worked their whole lives and worked so hard to get where they are. Now, if the economy took off and everybody was doing great, everybody was doing better and everything like that, then yeah, even the new guy coming in is going to be doing better, right? So, you know, a rising tide, you know, floats all boats, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, of course. But like right now, the environment that we're in, where we're at, the economic environment we're in with inflation and everything else that's going on, and just the instability in the world in general right now, you know, we can communicate more than we've ever been able to in human history. And we disrespect each other more than we ever have in human history because the opportunity is there to do so. And these attitudes spread, these negative attitudes spread, these negative ways of thinking spread. And then what we do is we end up showing complete and total disrespect for other people's beliefs and ideas. And to me, I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I hate the way that people are treating each other based on politics, based on, you know, this and that. I mean, I saw somebody post something the other day. I'm sure they don't watch the show. I'm sure they won't even watch this episode or whatever. God bless them if they do. I saw somebody post something the other day, and it was attacking conservatives, and it made no sense to me. It made absolutely no sense to me at all. It was like this ridiculous attempt at a meme that was absolutely terrible, and it was only meant to disrespect. There was nothing funny or jovial about it and stuff. Because I can laugh at political jokes that go either way. When people made fun of Trump, there was things I laughed about. When people make fun of Obama, there's things I laughed about. There was like Biden's, you know, a walking joke. But it's full of all of his gaffes and stuff. But all of these things, like I can like laugh at them, you know? When the different press secretaries and SNL made fun of them and stuff like that, I laughed at them. There was things that were done that I thought was pretty funny, and there was things that I just looked at and I'm like, that's just kind of poor taste. It just doesn't hit. There's nothing funny there. You're just attacking. And now we're at this point where everybody's just disrespecting everything. It's like they've lost their respect for the fellow humans. You see it in the anti-human movement. We're the carbon they're trying to get rid of. We're the thing. It's a disgusting view of humanity.
You're the carbon they want to get rid of.
Yeah, I'm the carbon they want to get rid of for sure. And it kills me. I'm like,
I'm
what are you guys going to do?
Specimen, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, of course you are. But yeah, I don't understand this thought process. Like everything good that we have now, all the things that we enjoy, the medicine, the treatments, the good and the bad. I know that, like, I gotta be careful on YouTube, but I know some of that stuff is not, and we find out years later that it killed a bunch of people, and then they get sued and they pay out a bunch of fines and stuff. So yes, I take things as they come, and I have to use my best judgment and talk to my doctor and stuff like that. But there's all the modern things that we have. We're able to drive across this whole country in a couple of days if we want to take a road trip. We can fly in less than a day across the whole country. We can go around the world if we want to. We can eat foods from all over the world. We can go get good dental care and corrective eye surgery and glasses and stuff to see better and hear better. And there's things to treat pain, and there's ways to reach out and communicate with loved ones that just were never, you couldn't do that so easily before. And here we are completely ungrateful for everything we have that can be attributed to human ingenuity, that can be attributed to the fact that we have so many damn humans on this planet. Because it's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. If you're living in survival mode, if we cut off all the gas and we cut off all the power, we're all living in survival mode again, guess what? We're burning trees again. We're not burning gas, we're burning trees. We're back to we're back to burning wood to heat up in the wintertime so we don't freeze to death and cook our food and maybe purify our water and stuff. It'd be a complete disaster because most of everybody's time will now be consumed with just surviving. But because we have the amount of people that we have, because we have the amount of people that can contribute and do meaningful work, we work in manufacturing. It's a dirty, tough job, period. It's a dirty, tough job. And it requires intelligence, and it requires hard work. It requires everything of you. And we make and produce things for everybody. And then what that does is that frees up a doctor. That frees up more people to go into research. That frees up more people to go into other meaningful things that help better our lives, that all come back to bettering our lives. And we have a complete disrespect for our fellow humans.
Yeah.
Like they have nothing to offer us. Like,
so I guess the more we remove ourselves from the natural world, I think about this a lot, and just let me expand a little bit.
No, I like where you're going. Go.
Yeah, like the more we like let the machines do the thinking for us, like automation obviously is our thing, and it does enrich people's lives, but at what cost when people like want to stop using big parts of their brain? Like, there's the whole potential like movement toward like transcendence, like we become the machines. Like that's just really weird to me, as much as I love technology. But what do? Do we completely remove our emotions and our drive or whatever to integrate with the machines? Because like it doesn't, the two ideas in my mind don't mingle,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that might be a big part of it, because we've just lost, I'm saying it all the time, like meaning in anything or whatever, like the more we're dependent on our devices and stuff, or just technologies in general. And there's got to be a happy in between. If we had like robots doing everything and nobody had to work, like what would be the meaning in life?
Yeah.
And
I think
we get back more to a natural thing where we could just enjoy like people's company and
I think
taking up art or something.
Yeah, I think there's a happy medium.
Yeah.
And I think you're really...
How do you move people toward that? Because like that's not the motivating factor, that technology is like went in,
Yeah,
it's not like
I'm hoping, this is what I'm really hoping for. I'm hoping that socially there's more of a social movement. And I'm kind of hopeful right now, because it feels to me like that's sort of the direction that we're going in, is that like I've cut back the amount of videos that I watch, whether it's YouTube or some streaming service or something like that. Like I'm burnt out. I'm just like, and I know I didn't consume near as much as other people, because other people talk about shows and stuff like that, and I'd be like, oh, maybe I'll check that out one day, or maybe I'll check that out sometime or something like that. And I realized that we fill our time a lot. Gosh, we fill like every open moment with something, and we fill our time a lot with this constant. We're consuming constantly. We're constantly consuming, right? And it's driven this sort of, we're going to consume all this media and all this media stuff, and we're always being advertised to while we're doing this, right? You can't escape it. And I believe what's happened is as consumers, we are allowing what we're consuming to consume us.
Yeah.
It's eating us alive. And I think we need to look at getting back, using the tools of technology. Let's take the good things. Let's take the things that matter and work, right? Let's take the good manufacturing technologies and automation and stuff that can make things more efficient, so it makes it more affordable to increase the quality of life for as many people as possible, that can provide food and energy for as affordably as possible to ensure good economies, good paying jobs. I think these things all come into the mix to bake a great cake, and I think they're important. But when it comes to entertaining ourselves, I think that we need to step away from the technology as much as possible when it comes to entertaining ourselves. Because I don't know, like have you played, like, I know you've played some games on your phone. I played some games on my phone. Have you really played any of them that aren't just basically a treadmill?
Only the ones you pay more money for.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, but I would say 99.9% of what you're doing on there, and that's just filling idle time. Maybe you're sitting at the doctor's office or whatever, or something, and you're playing your whatever it is and stuff like that. And I'm not against people playing these little idle games and stuff like that. I don't have a problem with them. I finally found something that I feel like doesn't consume a whole bunch of my time now, and I like to play little thinking games like strategy type stuff or whatever, like sitting down to play chess or something like that.
I guess I should clarify the ones that you pay more money up front for.
Oh yeah. Yeah, not the.
Because I guess you could put $500,000 into some of these games.
I mean, you heard about the nightmare stuff with the Diablo game, right?
Yeah.
On the phone and stuff like that. Oh, that was terrible. We both played Diablo when we were the original Diablo when we were like high school age.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of this like, nostalgic sort of thing or whatever, and it was fun and instead of kind of bringing back that feeling, it brought back just a feeling of disgust because they monetized this game in such a way that it was that consumerism. It was like that consumerism on steroids.
Yeah. And
I was like, dude, I would have paid $20 or $30 for the game. Like if you wanted to just sell the game and not have all this other like pay to win type stuff in it, like if you make a good game, maybe I might wait till it's on sale or whatever because I don't really pay for games anymore or buy games anymore or anything like that. But I'd have paid $15-$20 for it. Yeah, easily. I'd have been like, yeah, I'll just buy the game. And then, play through it or whatever, play with some friends or whatever. And I would have been happy. I would have been perfectly fine. And then I would have put it down, right? Maybe a year or two, somebody says, hey, play for a little while with me or something like that. Maybe I would have. But now the way things are going is it's all about like hooking you into subscriptions on everything. I know that they tried to do this earlier in time. If you go back through like marketing and stuff, there's like a lot of companies that tried to do that earlier and it didn't really take off.
Yeah.
But I think with the advent of the streaming services and things like that, I think people have gotten used to it. I think people have really become accustomed to subscription type services and things like that. And so there's all these things where they've got, money going out to all this stuff. And you stop, you think about it and you're like, oh, I'm doing all this work. And there's, so many hours of my week are going into paying for this stuff, right? Yeah. And what am I walking away from? How am I bettering myself? How do I feel when it's done? And I'm not saying don't watch a movie and don't be entertained or anything like that. I think it's wiser to treat stuff like that carefully, like a poisonous snake, right? You can look at it from afar, or a dangerous animal. You can look at it from afar. You can respect what it does. You can be like, okay, but if I get in there and start to really tangle with it a whole bunch, I'm going to increase my chances of getting killed, right?
Yeah.
And I think with because you get programmed by this stuff. I think with always consuming that stuff and everything like that, it makes it all about you. It makes it all about you're always just trying to satisfy your need, right? You're trying to entertain yourself, keep yourself busy, try not to think about the problems you have and the stresses you need to deal with and the facing of the issues that you need to tackle. And it distracts you from that stuff and makes it all about you. Everything, it's all about you, it's all about you, it's all about you. And then that feeds into that disrespect that you have for others, and others begin to irritate you because they're interrupting you. They're interrupting you watching whatever. They're interrupting you doing this. They're interrupting you when you just want to be somewhere else. And that attitude carries over into the workplace. Mm-hmm. And you see people just over there just like, and you're in a workplace and you're just like, what in the world? What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? You're at work, you're facing your phone and you're getting mad when somebody says put it up. I was at one of our customers' plant and there was a supervisor, and I was very proud of the supervisor. There was a supervisor and he looked at a young lady that was working there and he said, I told you to put that phone up again. If you don't put that phone up, if I see that phone again on the floor, if I see that phone on the floor again, you're going to get fired. You're out of here.
Yeah.
Okay. That may seem really harsh to a lot of people, but really, honestly, you're there to do a job.
Yeah.
You're there to work, you know? And I can understand that, like, okay, well, there might be some sort of emergency happening at home or something like that. But obviously, they've got a bad track record. That's not the first time he's told her, hey, you know, so check your phone on a bathroom break. Check your phone the next time you go on break or whatever, or something like that. Set an emergency ringtone if something's going on, like your wife's pregnant or whatever. Let your supervisor know. Be like, hey, be respectful to them and their need as a business to function. And be like, hey, you know, little Bobby got, you know, broke his leg or whatever, stuff like that. I might have to go or whatever, but you know, I'll work and I'll let you know. But I am waiting on a phone call. I just want to let you know. And people will work with you. They'll be understanding like that. And if they're not, go find another job. I mean, I understand that. But most people are going to be pretty understanding, you know, especially if you're consistent, you're a good worker, you know, you've got a good track record with them and stuff. They don't want to lose you. You know, if one thing comes up and everything, not if it's every day, but if you know, if it's a rare occasion for you, then they're going to be respectful to you too. They're going to want to keep you. Trust me, especially in this market. Yeah. They're going to want to keep a good one. Trust me. And if you're a good one, if you're respectful to your coworkers, if you're respectful to the leadership there, and I'm not saying you can't joke around, give people a hard time and stuff, but being respectful and being deferent to them and saying, okay, when they say, hey, we need this job done here, all right, boss man, gotcha. You know, you go, you take care of your thing and stuff like that. That's not a time to whine and complain because your boss told you to do a job. It doesn't make any sense. Why are you going to be disrespectful when your boss says, hey, I need this job done? You should be like, all right, man. Any details I need to know? No? Okay, man, I got it. You know, you just jump in there and do it. There's no, to me, respect, when you build respectful relationships with other people. I've had a boss that was a complete and total jerk. I got along with him fine. Not the rest. Most of the rest of the shop didn't. I got along with him fine. I was honest with him. I did what he asked. He was honest and blunt with me. I had no problem with it because I didn't get emotional about it. I wasn't like, oh no, he didn't say that nicely to me. Oh no, I didn't like the way he talked to me or whatever. So, I mean, he didn't talk like put me down. You know, he wasn't like, you stupid, lazy. But he didn't do any of that. He just was like, hey, I need this done. He was very blunt.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, hey, I'd really like it if you could do this. No. He's like, this needs to be done. All right. And if I had a problem, didn't have the tools for it, lacked the materials, whatever, something, I was immediately feeding back to him, say, hey, I need this and this to complete this job. Me and him got along great.
Yeah.
Perfect. No problem at all. No problem at all. And that's because despite his personality, and he did have an abrasive personality, despite his personality, I respected him. I was respectful towards him.
Yeah.
You know, and he was respectful towards me in turn. It's amazing the amount of respect you can earn from people by just being respectful. You know, by humbling yourself, being respectful, and it doesn't take long for people to start to look up to you, and they go, yeah, does a good job. He does what he's asked. He shows up on time. He's got a good attitude. It's like, hey. And that good attitude affects the workplace as well. People want to be around you. People want to work with you. They enjoy being around you. You make their job easier. You make the day go by smoother and faster with less stress and drama. So if we could start being more respectful to each other,
yeah,
right? If we could start treating each other with more respect, I think that a lot of these problems kind of work themselves out. You know, right now we've got this great political divide in the country where it's like who can disrespect the other the most, right? I mean, it like, what's your take on it? I'm sitting here talking. I want you to, you know,
well,
kind of.
I was gonna wind back a little bit and talk about entertainment.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm not trying to talk over you. Jump in there.
I guess at an early age, like I kind of saw like Disney as not the greatest thing. You know, they had some really good stories, you know, throughout the years. Although most of them were brought over from, previous works and stuff, but not just them. Like, it's just funny. Recently, I've talked to multiple people, like younger, and I guess as far as entertainment goes, like the companies are not going to respect you, like so you should respect yourself and like what you consume.
Yep.
And not buy into like the mindless stuff all the time. It's funny because I'll talk to younger people and say like some of my favorite movies, because I'm very picky, like I like a handful of movies, very small amount,
Yep.
But when I tell them, they're like, oh, that's great, like that's a really good movie, it's because I've been able to like throw off a lot of that chafe throughout the years, like I do watch mindless stuff, but the more we play into the consumerism with anything, not just movies, any entertainment or that, they're getting to where everybody's just an easy sell, and they're just trying to do enough, right, to reach all of the average common denominator or whatever. Like, so I think to get them to respect us, we could, like not buy into that, maybe hit back,
Yeah. I
So I'm saying, like, kind of force, the companies to be more respectful of your time, than just to be like, oh, you're our mindless trolls now, I guess is where I'm going with that, like.
Yeah, well, a person when they're working on something needs to know what they're doing is meaningful. You know what I'm saying? For what reason and what purpose am I doing this? Most of the time, you're smart enough to look at it and go, yeah, mopping this floor up is because somebody's going to slip and it's disgusting. It needs to be done. It may not be the most, enlightening of jobs or whatever it is, but you do it with a good attitude, and, that really, that's really impactful. You're not going to get the CEO position. You're not walking in and like all of a sudden you're, at that height or whatever stuff, I think it's important to be respectful of, for businesses to be respectful of employees' time, for
I guess
sure.
I never got back to that. I
You know
was
what
like,
I mean?
are you going back into that? Because I was talking about entertainment, but no, I mean, I agree with you on those points.
Yeah, I think that, I don't know, like
I guess like demand respect, but also be respectful is like the underlying thing, but like when, I guess the reason I brought up the entertainment stuff is like I feel like there's stuff that like wholeheartedly disrespects us, and like you do have a say back, but like not really, because like it would need to be a group effort, right? To really like change something in a respectful way.
Yeah.
I mean, that's across like
Are you
all sorts of stuff.
Are you specifically talking about entertainment there, or?
No, I'm just saying with like anything, like, I've talked about Facebook. Like when I first did Facebook, I didn't buy into all the stuff. It was literally and I think a lot of people did, I can keep up with my friends. But the more we commodified it or whatever, it's just the thumbs up or whatever. And we like remove, I mean, I know we had a whole nother podcast where we talked about that, but just everything. Like the more we don't respect ourselves enough to use our own brains, like, and more often, thinking for ourselves.
Yeah.
The more we play into the consumerist, mindset that really doesn't respect you. They just want your dollar,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really a person. I mean, I guess it's an entity of people, but.
Do you feel like that, overall, do you feel like there's been like this dehumanization, and we've allowed it to kind of happen to ourselves too, to a large degree as well?
Yeah, and it's going to destroy us if we keep playing into
that's
it
the way
and
we
don't
see
make something
ourselves.
meaningful.
That's the way we see ourselves. We project that onto other people as well. So we're not respecting ourselves. We're not respecting others.
Yeah.
I can see that. And I can concede that that's. I see what you're saying. Like I get it. It's a deeper thought. It's a little bit deeper thought. And it's hard to put into words. But what you're getting at there does make sense. It makes a lot of sense because we're stuck in this, we're allowing ourselves to kind of be abused, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, Facebook started off as this, that's what it was always to me. What I wanted it to be was just to keep in touch with old friends and family, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to see like the people I went to high school with and everything. I wanted to see like the, them get happily married if that's what they wanted to do. Like I wanted to see them get happily married and and their kids growing up and everything, and my cousin and how she's doing, and my Aunt Nancy and grandma and grandpa when they were still with us, and things like that. Like, I wanted to know that like they were doing okay, and like they went and saw some interesting stuff and it brought them joy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that made me happy, right? Like, I saw these people doing these things, and they post pictures with their family and stuff like that, and I was like, man, that warms my heart. Like, I liked that side of it, and I still don't think there's anything wrong with that side of it, right?
Yeah.
But then what happened is, just like you said, they commodified it, right?
Yeah.
Then it was the thumbs up, right?
Yeah.
Is the thumbs up kind of thing.
Now
or whatever.
it's like memes or whatever. Like, I love memes as much as the next person, but
I think they're hilarious.
yeah, like when that's all your communication, because like people
Yeah.
I'm really close with, it's like, oh, let's just meme back and forth. Okay, well, that's a funny one. I guess you thought but like jot down some text or whatever too.
Yeah,
Like,
let me know how you're doing. Yeah,
yeah.
let me know how you're doing.
The thing that drives me crazy, and I know it happens a little bit here, but it's enough that I see it on my phone. Somebody has to like show me on their phone like all the time, like maybe once or twice a day I can stand it. But like, I've had people where they're like every 2 seconds, like, check this video out. I'm like, just send it to me. I can look at it later or something, like as far as like respecting people in the workspace. Because when I worked at Walmart, there was an associate I worked with that just absolutely drove me nuts like that. I'm like, most of the stuff wasn't even that funny to me,
Yeah.
And I tried to be respectful enough to be like, haha, not like, hey, you're dumb. Why are you showing me this dumb stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, I trust me, I get it. Trust me, I get it. And when I'm at work, I do want, like, I want it to be mostly about work.
Yeah.
Like, I love it when people crack jokes and stuff like that when they're working. I don't mind having a radio on when you're doing some work and everything. I like having music in the background. All that's okay, man. All that's good. There's a lot of studies showing you're more productive when you're listening to music and stuff anyway. So as long as it's not really distracting or whatever, it doesn't bother me. Like, I'm fine with it. Whatever makes your work day go by, brings you joy, is relaxing to you, and then you get through the day with a pep in your step, hey, I'm all for it. That's fine. However, when people are constantly like, hey, look at this and everything like that, that is a little bit aggravating. And it could even be funny and enjoyable and stuff like that, but you're just kind of like, not right now. I mean, like, it's not really about that right now, and it just feels really out of place. I can understand that some people are, they're trying to connect with other people, and that might be their only kind of way, and they're a little bit awkward about it and stuff. So I understand. I get it. I understand a little bit and stuff, but I'd rather people kind of focus in on like what they're doing and stuff. Like, I talked to Michelle about like her work and stuff like that, and she has like left her phone and almost forgotten her phone so many times because she puts it away.
Yeah.
She puts it away and it's out of her mind. She doesn't think about it or whatever. She's dealing with people. She's taking care of people.
Yeah.
Okay. So she's seeing to their needs and trying to make them as comfortable as possible and give them as much dignity in the last years of their life as possible. And how would you feel if the person that was taking care of your grandmother or your mother in their last moments was just constantly like staring at their phone?
Yeah.
Like, how would that make you feel?
Yeah.
Like, legitimately. Like, I mean, it's an open-ended question, but I mean, people are not going to like that.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, she doesn't even care. She's not even paying attention to them. She doesn't, that's the thought process that's going to go through their head. Yeah. And how do you think other people view you when you're doing that? It's very disrespectful. It's very disrespectful to those around you. It's very disrespectful to I can't even stand, and when somebody's talking really loud on the phone, right? Uh-huh. And they're really loud and they're walking down in a public area and stuff like that. That drives me nuts. Yeah. I find that terribly disrespectful or whatever, because it's like nobody else around them can carry on a conversation.
I think it's kind of disturbing when it's like they're carrying on a meeting in a public restroom,
Yeah. Yep.
I'm just like,
Yeah, and I understand, like, hey, I'm a contractor. I get it. Sometimes you got to take calls or whatever. I'm not beating everybody up about it. I understand. Sometimes you got to answer a call and, you want to try to take care of a customer and everything, make sure everything's okay. I get that. I do. I really honestly do get that. But, yeah, when you're in a public place like that, be respectful of other people.
yeah. So maybe the solution is a way for us to figure out how to, surgically attach screens in our head, that can put like memes up and emojis and stuff, because that's what it feels like, a lot of, meaningful or supposedly meaningful
Conversation. Yeah, that's just the evolution of communication, and maybe we're just old,
I don't think
stodgy old men now or something like that, where we're just like,
I don't really think it's that, because I see too many things about like Gen Z is pushing back against that a little bit, especially in the dating site or whatever. They want like a more meaningful,
they want something that's more real.
Yeah, than just the swipe, right? At least that's what I understand from what I've read and some of the,
well, I can
20-somethings I've talked to, like they actually,
I can understand that though. I get it, because like I missed that whole era, right? So, I've been married for over 20 years now, and the dating app stuff or whatever exploded, after I was already married, and prior to that, most people didn't connect that way. They didn't really kind of connect. Some people met online through like video games and stuff like that. I've actually known some people that met online and everything like that, and they turned out fine.
It's usually a more social.
But it was exactly. It was a more social type of thing, and it was not this like swipe left, right, that kind of thing. It wasn't this grade how hot I am kind of thing. And the funny thing about those things is I imagine that young men are probably like a big push against, like, they're just like, this stuff doesn't work.
The swiping apps is like horribly disrespectful to both sides.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But
we push for the, there's beauty on the inside and outside, and then we commodify it to swipe left, swipe right, because it's like you just have a picture to go off of, right?
Yeah, but like over 80% of men, I think, is what the last numbers were. It was abysmal. Yeah. It was absolutely abysmal. So like an average guy has like no chance. I was like, so an average looking dude, like, it could be the nicest guy in the world. It could be a hard worker, a good family man, with values and morals and ethics, stuff like that. He's got like no chance, man. He's got no chance. And I'm sitting there looking at that. I'm like, I'm a hopeless romantic. So like, that hurts me, man. Like when I hear about that, I'm just like, oh no. I just feel like love is dying, you know what I mean? I'm like, because I want more people to fall in love. That's my thing. It's like, I want more people to fall in love and find meaning in that, and find meaning in pouring into another person. Like, I want more people to experience that in their life. And the dating sites and everything, the way that it's, like I said, being disrespectful to both sides, men and women.
Yeah.
And it turning it into kind of like this weird meat market kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you don't get to really like connect with somebody and kind of find out how they are, and I know that by the numbers, like, men by and large don't find matches on these sites. And I'm like, that's terrible. That's terrible for society. That's terrible for our future.
What is it? Tinder? I don't know what all do that. Like, you're being played by a company, because like swipe. I mean, people get to where they swipe so fast or whatever, and they get paid every once in a while once that ad pops up. They're sitting there just churning money off of you, whether you pay for their premium thing or not.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's not like they really care about you having a meaningful thing. And I know a lot of dating websites are really just hookups anymore, because we don't respect ourselves enough to like seek something meaningful. I just say we as a society.
Yeah,
I'm not
I know.
Speaking out to anybody in particular, Like,
yeah, I understand that. I think we just, as a species, we weren't ready for social media. I really don't.
Yeah.
I really don't think we were, and not in the way that it's been. Not the way that it's been done, because I remember the early years of, message boards and things like that and stuff. That stuff seemed to work okay. Reddit's devolved into this wackadoo, like weird mess of a thing that if you try to express anything that's outside of the approved opinion, you're just going to be piled on and stuff. So it's a weird place too now. It was pretty good for a while though. I believed it was. Yeah. And Facebook didn't used to be as bad as it is or anything like that. But I think as we've grown accustomed to it, and we've grown into these habits, and I'm kind of glad that the younger generation doesn't do Facebook so much, but at the same time, they do much shorter attention span stuff, and it's kind of like they're trading kind of like one evil for another in this regard, and that does make me worry. That makes me worry for that generation as well, and what does society look like in 20 years, in 40 years? Yeah. You know what I mean? What does our society look like when we've just raised up a bunch of people that this is the way they communicate?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I was talking to my sister last night, and she asked me if I could find the theme song for Ant-Man, I guess it is, like the new one coming out. And she liked it because like it had the build-up or whatever. It was kind of like classical. It was Elton John singing, but she pointed out something because like we're just talking about music and what kind of music I enjoy in her, because like we're in a time when, well, I don't know, we were exposed to classical music, but what's been removed like once we started moving away from classical music, like in the music part itself, not even the vocal part.
Certain tones.
Emotion, like music can convey emotion.
Oh yeah,
like
absolutely.
The newer stuff is just like, what is it, 2/5 or whatever, just these beats. Like there's not emotion in the music, and I guess you can convey it in the voice stuff, but I think that there's a big part of that, like that is commodified too. And
are we unlearning?
Yeah.
Are we losing our knowledge of these things and these communication mediums?
Just because
we're getting bad at it?
Yeah.
I mean,
and I think machine learning is going to make things even weirder,
I do too. Yeah.
So that's why I'll go back. Like, I think the only way, if we let machines like completely take over our lives, like in everything, like in our thought process, we're just going to have to remove our emotions, or no, I'm not saying for real, like, but yeah, machines don't have emotions, the whole idea of AI.
Yeah.
There is not AI. It's machine learning. There is no true artificial intelligence, as it were, because it would have something,
God, that's a dark thought, man.
Sentient, yeah.
Ooh, that's a dark thought. Yeah, that's just, I'm thinking about that sort of world where, all the decisions are being made.
Yeah, but we are removing our emotions. I mean, when you saying like the more we do that, and we just like hold on to the better ones, it's not a good thing, man. Like we're just not respecting ourselves enough to experience the entirety of like what it means to be human, the human condition or whatever.
I'm gonna agree with you, and
I mean, I hate to be dark, but it's something I think
it's
about.
True.
Like,
it's very true, and I'm gonna go like a step further, and I think there might be one. I believe it's a huge contributing factor to this lack of respect and what's kind of eating away at seeing others, seeing like the beauty in others, and we're not looking at people in the eye, right?
Yeah.
We're not connecting with them in that way, and because there's a lot happens when people interact with each other in person that does not happen in an online conversation, in a text, even in a phone call. There's missing components to it, but at least in a phone call you've got inflection of the voice, and there's something more there. But when you're in person, there's something even more there, and you can't get it, any more than being in the presence of each other and speaking and talking and working things out, whether it's a good interaction or a bad interaction. They're all good interactions, right? You work through things, you learn. And instead of experiencing that, everybody's got their eyes down, right?
Yeah.
And they've fallen into this much lower level of communication, even though we've increased our technology and ways to communicate, we decrease the effectiveness of it.
Yeah.
We decrease that contact, because when another person's in the same room with you, there's more than just the visual and the audio. There's things going on. There's chemical reactions. There's when you look in another person's eyes, when you think good thoughts about somebody that's standing right in front of you, and there, you have physical reaction. You have a warm feeling. You get goosebumps. Whatever that is, you are having a physical reaction to the presence of somebody else being in your life and interacting with you.
Yeah.
You can't replace that on this.
Yeah.
You can't do it. And I understand why it's become so much more difficult. It's become so much more difficult to connect and respect. It makes, and just talking to this conversation, it makes a lot more sense to me. It almost just seems like 2 + 2 now that we talk this out and we, discuss the subject.
Yeah.
It seems like that's probably where a lot of it comes from. I think maybe a good idea is, like, one of the things is that we basically say kids should not have, because that's what a lot of the wealthy parents stuff do. All these tech giants, stuff like that, they don't let their kids have phones. They don't let them have access to that stuff until they're like 18.
Yeah.
There's kids screaming all over the world right now. They're like, no, that's so wrong. That's so wrong. It's like, no. You don't understand. We're saving you from something. Okay. And you still may end up falling into the pit, because when you're an adult, you do as you like, but in that regard, but it's not good for you. It's not good for your health. You need to learn how to communicate. You need to learn how to look somebody in the eye. You need to learn how to talk and be around other people, because then you're going to connect with humanity in a different way. You're going to see the beauty in humanity.
Yeah.
And you're going to stop being this nihilistic, selfish person that's thinking about their own misery and just holding on to all that negativity. And it'll change you. It'll make you a better person. I think it'll make you a much better person. Dude, we're about to hit the hour mark. Man, that time just flew by. You want to add anything to this before we sign off? Or I think I did most of the talking this time. I didn't mean to keep going on and on, but
I guess I can say my famous catchphrase,
Yeah, take us out, Jer.
I just ask you, plead with you, think for yourself on anything important to you, and especially with this episode, don't let the machines, respect yourself enough to not just let the machines do the thinking for you. Respect others.
That's right.
And let's figure out how to get through this.
Absolutely.
Together. Thank you.
Thank you. Check out some of our own videos. Please like and subscribe, and share the video if you like it.